and I'm just thinking this off the top of my head here. So is all time in IT not real? Because that person that's coming to you saying, this will only take a minute, clearly does not understand how long something's going to take. Yet, if I ask any of my technicians how long something will take, 10 more minutes, boss. Like that's an hour for sure. Like 100% of the time. We have zero ability to tell time in IT, no matter what it is.
No.
Oh, yeah.
And nothing takes a minute in IT. Nothing takes a minute.
10 more minutes, I got that thing. Okay, I'll
Even
see
a
you in 2
reboot
hours.
takes
Exactly.
3 minutes.
When I was a kid, when we were kids, and the principal called and said, Brian did blah, 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 blah. My dad never said, my dad looked at me and said, what the hell did you do?
My mom was a secretary. I could get away with nothing.
But the fact is, even if you didn't do it, she jumped to you and then you could explain it and she would believe you and then you might have but the instant wasn't the adult is lying.
Yes.
The instant
the school's against
my
you.
kid probably did something because I know my child.
Can we get? So we're back. This is the lighter side. This is the lighter side, and so
we pulled a string.
I got to barge in on this because So formally, welcome to the lighter side of Roundtable. What you just said is I long for these times. When I was a kid and I did something wrong, or the teacher yelled at me for something I didn't do, get over it. Like,
or just why? When did it change?
My mom never said, "Well, the teacher's an asshole," or the teacher's lying. It's like, "What'd you do?" Well, I didn't do anything. Yeah, you did.
Or just when did we assume the adult was the liar? Like the 7-year-old must be telling the truth. The adult, the 5 adults that have called me to tell me my student did this thing, they must all be liars with a big conspiracy.
They're against my kid. They're all against my child.
Right. And I used to, I wasn't a model student all the time. Like sticking number 2 pencils in the ceiling. I was a pro at that. And when the teacher would tell me to please stop peeling the epoxy off the windows outside, making them into a ball and throwing them against a chalkboard. Can you please stop doing that? And if I didn't listen, out in the hallway with the paddle with the air holes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
And today, that would be a prison sentence for said teacher.
Absolutely.
And the parents would go, only person that disciplines my kid is me. Where do we get there?
Which is code for nobody.
That is code. Yeah, exactly. And, you see the nuns and the priests leaving and don't want to teach because they can't crack your knuckles or discipline. You can't discipline people anymore.
Yeah. Listen,
No.
I don't know that I need everybody whacking.
No.
Like, we don't need to go straight there. I do appreciate a paddle with holes in it for aerodynamics purposes.
That taught me to not throw the epoxy ball at the chalkboard, I'll tell you that.
You learned.
I appreciate that. I also appreciate the teacher that would take the kid out in the hallway and smack his own leg and say, you better yell out fast, because if you don't, it's coming for you for real. And then that kid knew, I'm never doing this again because I don't want to feel what it really feels like. There's a way that you can get your message across.
And it's not teaching you to hit. I mean, I didn't become this abusive guy in life when I got my ass paddled many times over.
Well, and I was saying before we went on that my mom was a secretary at the high school, and my mom definitely was. If the school called with a problem, my mom did not point back at the school and say, "This is your problem."
Never.
Real quick story: my first year teaching, I was a music teacher teaching 5th grade general music, and I was in a closet, probably a little bit bigger than where we're sitting right now. 30 kids pile in, because they weren't big enough to split into 2 classes. So there's 30 kids in 5th grade, pile in, sit down on the floor. And I'm going through my opening day spiel. Very first year teaching. Got 2 kids, I correct them 2 or 3 times, I was always trained, you don't smile till Thanksgiving. As a teacher, you don't smile till Thanksgiving. You can always become a lighter and happier person, but if you start off that way, it's hard to be meaner.
Yeah.
So I start off that class by correcting these 2 gentlemen, and in front of them I said, all right, you're done. Get out. I've said it to you now 6 times. Get out. Go sit outside the door. You're done for this class. Everything goes great. Finish the class. At the end of the day, I get called to the office. There's a phone call for you. Mr. Thiem, yes. My name is so-and-so. You disciplined my child today. Yes. Had you done any homework, you would have known that my child and this other child cannot sit together. All the teachers in that school know that these 2 children cannot sit together, yet you allowed them to sit together in your class.
Jesus Christ.
And my favorite phrase, So let me get this straight. That's my way of starting by saying you're an idiot. So let me get this straight. Because your child cannot control themselves next to another child, this is my problem. And she was like, yes.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay. That's where we are. All right.
So she didn't say good point. She said yes.
No, she said, yeah, you should have known not to put them together.
No wonder you're in IT. You made the right move, because that's the shit I can't stand. I cannot stand it. You wonder why we have the problems we have.
I'd love to know where that kid is today and how successful he is,
exactly.
too. It's like you're setting him up for failure.
25 years ago, that was.
Yes, 25 years. Life is hard. Like, not everybody gets a ribbon. Not everybody gets a medal. Like, I went to, picking on education that you come from, sorry, but my oldest son, he was in a science fair, and we went to, he got picked to go to this regional event. It happened to be, it was in the convention center here in town. Okay, we don't have to travel far. All right, let's do it. So we brings his, whatever his science project was at the time, there. So you're in this arena full of presentations and displays, and all these judges are walking around, and so now it's time for the main event. And we sit down in the stands and are going through there. They announce third place by grade, third place, second place, first place. I'm like, oh, your grade's next. Oh, not so fast. Now they do third place, second place, first place, again for the same grade. Everybody got a medal.
Boy.
Everybody got a ribbon.
Wow.
Yes. What are we teaching? What are we teaching? That you're everything you do, that you're never a failure, you're never going to lose, you're always a winner. That's not life.
That's how you grow. You grow by being cut down.
Exactly. You're not, and just as in our roles, in our careers, we are the people we are because we failed in life.
I was going to say, do you know any mistakes I make on a daily basis? I lose count.
I can't count that high. But personally, like I say, I've stopped trying to keep track of them. That's a fool's errand.
We know you are quite the dullard.
No, it's a fool's errand to be focused on those. You only succeed by failure, right? That's anybody that's made everything just by doing it well. That's very lucky. Right. And it means you're probably not doing it all that well.
Like the family-owned businesses, there's always that generation that says, F it, I'm out of here, and they sell. But I love the ones, though, that the kid does come from the trenches of the business. Now, when you leave and you go home in your Maserati and, life is grand again. But if they're starting working third shift or painting the back garage or just with not just one day and done, because who you fooling? But if they have truly worked their way up, I think it gives, maybe me, because I'm not, I didn't win the genetic lottery, so maybe there's a little bitterness there, witnessing this before my eyes, right? But also I do think they become a better generational leader.
My son, competitive gymnast, right? Just look at his legs, and you'll know how many times you have to fail to be awesome at the pommel horse. Right? The number of times you whack and hit, and child services would look at me strangely if he walks down.
So we have an idiot and then we have a beater.
Yes, you
here
got it
today.
right there. So. But he's so successful and so good at it because of the failures, not because it was just easy to do.
Or nobody gave him the medal for not completing the pommel horse correctly.
No, that doesn't work that way.
Right.
No, there's a lot of kids crying at the end of those meets.
Well, all right, so I got to pick on this because just to get a sense of scale with you at the school district, how many students in aggregate do you have some level oversight on, and faculty? What are those numbers?
So we have a roughly around 6,500 students, and the number of faculty fluctuates so rapidly. Say between 300 and 400, that's a rough guess.
So I chuckle because I'm picturing, because I like to, this is our time to vent a little bit, but so you're on your feet a lot, and you're going from location to location.
Oh, I've got a team of 10 that is running constantly.
So I something came to mind when we first met, and it was the old, hey, Patrick, you get 1 minute. This will be really quick. It's like, so
you walk into a building and you've got 10 work orders from people that have done the right thing by putting a work order in, and you're running to get from all 10 of them. And somebody that stops you in the hallway, just take a second. Really, if you just come in here and just look at I think it'll just take you a minute to do.
Yeah, I would take hours, you 30 seconds. Not even 30 seconds.
No time.
But so I like some of our clients, like the CEOs and the owners that don't quite understand it, like they'll get, so you're doing this implementation for us, and it's a big implementation. We're changing out your ERP system. So how long is this going to take? So you give them the roundabouts because this is a very complex project and a lot of moving parts and things change. Some get kind of like, well, you've been doing this for a very long time. Why can't you tell me? I mean, I'm like, we're not adding a garage door to your third bay. Like, understand this. We can play the pad game. I always go to the pad game. So if all my collection of vendors, and it's a collection of folks, say, 8 months, $500,000, I can tell you 2 years, $3 million. We can play that game. But there's a sense of, back to your sense of time, But
yeah, it's unbelievable how disconnected we are. And it's a tribute to the field, right? We've become, we used to have tiny floppy disks. It used to take forever to load. Like, everything is right now. So it feels like, oh yeah, it'll just be a minute. It'll just be minutes. There's nothing is a minute. Nothing's a minute.
Nothing is a minute.
How? So Brian, you've experienced, you work with many different clients. Do you have a particular pet peeve that?
Do you experience that?
Do I experience pet peeves?
Did you experience the
scope creep?
Let me ask you.
It happens all the time. I get calls all day long with people saying,
just 1 minute.
I need to, do you have a second to give me whatever that thing is? Yeah, just a second. Sure. No problem.
See, I wish I had his life. These are just, do you have 1 second?
Right.
You for
I
1
get a
minute.
minute.
Yes, mine are only seconds, right? Seconds that turn into hours, right? That's how that goes. My people, we run into the problem all the time with that. We've got a list of things that we're trying to do. I hate the hoarders of problems. Like, I know you're coming to my building, so I'll just hold this knowing you're coming. Give me some heads up. I mean, I know that these guys seem like wizards, but boy, if I would have known you had 7 more things, I might have sent 2. Right? Like, you're really setting yourself up for failure. If you're holding on to 15 things that are broken, wait till I get to 20 to send them in. You're killing me, Smalls. Yes. Like I got people today. Like, there's nothing worse than me looking out and seeing 4 guys not doing any tickets right now, or 2 of the ladies sitting there going, I've got nothing to do. And then 2 hours later, well, here's 20 things that I've been sitting on for the last month and a half. Well,
and then the calls come in. Why is it taking so long?
Yeah, I can't believe it takes so long when we give you no ability to plan, right? It's weird. If I could schedule all my emergencies, life would be great, right? So you never know when they're going to happen. So you putting in your mundane task early lets me get it done around those emergencies.
I have said in the last week a number of times, I want to get to a point in IT where I'm not reactive, I'm proactive. And somebody looked at me this week and said, that's not possible.
Yeah. That's
just not possible.
That's aspirational. That's aspirational.
It's just not possible.
We set everything up to be as proactive as we can be so we can do less reacting, but we have to react to those emergencies. Like, you can't schedule them.
And to your point, the person that calls and says, I've got these 50 things you need to take care of right now, I don't have the ability to be proactive for that because you didn't allow me to
You
be
took
proactive.
it away from me. If you would say, this thing broke yesterday, I don't need it for 3, here's a spare. I have a finite number of spares. I have a finite number of whatever. I have an ability to correct a lot of problems. If you hoard the problems and then bring them all to me at once, because it's like, it'll just be easier if I just tell you all my problems at once. Just like your therapist does not want you to bury it all down and bear it all at one time. If you can unpack these things a little at a time, you're probably not going to explode.
Well, even the spares are an art form because I can buy 100 computers to have, but problem is if I only use 10 over the next 3 years, now I got 90 that are worthless.
That is my life, because I've got a CFO that says how many are sitting on the shelf. Or a great example, kindergarten registration is coming up. I have to buy right now. Today, I sent the PO to buy my iPads for next school year. How many kids do I have registered for kindergarten right now? 0. 0 kids registered for kindergarten right now. But I have to buy enough iPads that could potentially get whatever number that is.
Why do you have to buy them now?
Because if I wait till July 1, there are tariffs in place. There's supply and demand issues. Everybody is everybody is buying them now. There's a shortage. So if I order them July 1 or August one, I'm not going to get them till September 1.
See, I'd almost overbuy because then you can black market them and make your money back.
Cool. Oh, yeah, no.
Entrepreneur.
But I do have a CFO that goes, you have to buy responsibly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's both things. Right. It's just hit the number exactly with no information.
Well, all right. So the reactive, proactive, prepping for you guys to be here today. No, I'm an IT guy. I consider myself buttoned up. I like to prep ahead of time. I had 2 bullshit problems there that didn't exist yesterday on my dry run, but existed today. What was it tied to? I have no idea. But this is IT. This is the world we live in. We
adjust and you pivot and you do what you got to do.
So do you ever do the we'll just reboot? Do you ever brush them off? Reboot. Tell you, just I do have 1 minute. Tell you what, just reboot, and 9 times out of 10 it solves your problem.
9 times out of 10 it solves the problem. 90% of the time it works 100% of the time.
And if it doesn't, just give me a call.
No, we just had this where we had an issue with a point of sales machine that the drawer wouldn't pop. The drawer wouldn't pop. Well, it was an antivirus problem. But one of the solutions was a reboot, because on reboot, it worked for a couple minutes.
That's a trigger for me.
It wasn't the solution.
No, that's a trigger for me.
But it was a solution.
When someone tells me, did you reboot? I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you're blowing me off.
I will tell you, though, you have to say it, because sometimes well, no, I didn't think that would fix the problem this time. Well, listen, motherfucker, we were pretty clear about how this had to go.
Yeah. And sometimes I'll be like, you probably already rebooted, right? So let's... Oh, no, I didn't.
No, you never
tell
assumed.
You what, well, no, but I'm walking them into... Because if they're like me and I do the reboot, I'm ready to box. It's like, of course I rebooted.
Until you didn't.
Until you didn't. Yeah.
I really think that there's a whole generation of kids, adults, IT people. When was the last time you rebooted your phone?
Yeah. No, my phone actually turned off on me yesterday without me wanting to, because I probably hadn't rebooted it since my last update.
Right. We don't restart our phones.
No.
I every once in a while I think about it and I go, I'm going to restart it because it hasn't restarted in a month.
Well, I have this awful habit of I have all this shit running on my computer. It's kind of like my visual reminder, and it's like, oh my god, I got to reboot because I have this pattern. I'm like, fuck. Now I gotta remember the 10 things I had open, because as soon as I reboot, I'm opening all 10 again.
Yeah.
So one more thing, but I know we're running late here. So, being all of a sudden you're the family IT guy, God, that triggers me. I don't know why. It's like probably because I haven't physically had to do that level of detail for many years. I always had a team, some do, but someone can't. Their Apple Cache isn't working. Now I don't use Apple Cache, but because it's a thing that runs on a device, it must be IT, and we're going to call the resident family IT guy. Ooh, I go from 0 to 100. I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
My wife talks about how her mom and dad growing up knew everything. They could program a VCR. They could program a VCR. They could hook up a VCR, program a VCR, and all of a sudden now that they don't know how to do anything. They can't do anything. How do I pay? How do I answer the phone? What do I do with this? This button's not lit. It's usually lit. She's like, when did that happen?
When she could take it over, right? That's exactly when it happened. We're great enablers. And also the frustrating part about being the family IT is that you have none of the tools, right? Because I've got remote app accessibility to all the things in my life that happen work-wise. And now all of a sudden I'm just being tied up on the phone
just for a minute
with the family. I've had 2 text messages since
1 minute.
I've been texted twice since I'm sitting here, both of them from family members saying, please give me a call. I guarantee you 100% each one of those has to do with something not connecting to something.
It's a fact. And my wife, she'll get pissed at me because she's like, well, if it's your shit, you're all attentive to fix that. I'm like, exactly. Now, happy wife, happy life. I'm going to help you, but I don't know. I just
No, I tell you, my wife is better at technology than I am.
Yeah, she's impressive.
Well, you did start in music, and now
so
you're an IT guy. So
did she. Wow. Yeah, she started in music as well, but she does technology.
You
really
well. Are dumb as shit.
I know. Yeah, I am.
Well, gentlemen, hey, thanks again for sticking around. This was a fun conversation, and until next time.
Thank you.